Easter is right around the corner and we need to switch up what we have. I'm all in favor of the Easter ham, but why does it have to be ham? Can't we use another pork product? How about baby back ribs? So we're going to season our baby back ribs to emulate an Easter ham. And we're going to be doing it in our oven. First things first, we need to get our rub together. We're going to be doing a combination of a wet and dry rub. So we're going to glaze our baby back ribs first and then throw our dry rub on top of that. So for our wet ingredients, we have 1 cup fresh pineapple juice, half a cup honey, 1/4 cup of dark soy, and 2 tablespoons spicy brown mustard. Then we're gonna get our wet ingredients into a pot on the stove, medium-high heat, and reduce it by half. Now that we have our glaze nice and reduced, we're gonna let it cool a bit, and then we're gonna brush it onto our ribs. Let's rub our ribs. All right, let's get our glaze on. These came pre-peeled from the butcher. Now, for spices. We've got a lot going on here. We've got 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of ground clove, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of allspice, 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, half a teaspoon of sweet paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed, and 1 tablespoon of Kinder's brown sugar. And to that, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of kosher salt with my tiny little whisk. Get that all mixed together. Just sprinkle it on. Give them a flip. Let's paint this side now. It's like painting a house. You gotta put your base coat, then your top coat. I've got my oven preheated to 275. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put our ribs in there uncovered, and we're gonna pour water into our pan. It's gonna create a nice humid environment for our ribs so they won't dry out. And it's gonna catch all of our drippings so that we have something to make a sauce with. It's gonna go for about 2 hours before we crank it up to 400 degrees, get some nice caramelization on there. Our ribs have been going in the oven now for 2 hours and they've got about 30 minutes left. So while we wait for our ribs to get done, we're gonna start making our sauce. We'll be using the leftover spice mix, which is about 2 tablespoons of the total mix we made in the beginning for the ribs, some good old Heinz ketchup, some date syrup, and a little bit of red wine vinegar. Then we're gonna take all of that liquid that I put in our pan to catch all the drippings and pour that in. Start with a half a cup of Heinz ketchup, 2 tablespoons of date syrup. It's kind of like molasses tasting, but has a much more distinct like date flavor to it. 1/4 cup red wine vinegar, then all of our seasoning. Now we just have to wait for our ribs to get done so we can put in the rest of our liquid. Our ribs hit the 2 hour and 10 mark and they've just now become nice and soft. So I've cranked the heat up on my oven to 400 degrees to get a nice caramelization on our ribs. Now the times I'm saying aren't exact. They're exact for my oven. Your home oven, you're just gonna have to play with it. But roughly about 2 to 2.5 hours will get your ribs nice and tender, but not like falling apart tender, the nice bite tender. You have to play it by sight and feel. Now we're just gonna add all of our liquid and drippings down in there. Now let's get this on the stove and we're gonna reduce it down until it becomes nice and glazy. Our beautiful ribs, fresh out of the oven. Gotta let them rest for about 15 to 20 minutes before you cut into them. Okay, now for the bite test. So often you see certain celebrity salt chefs pull the bone completely out of the meat, like totally clean. That's overcooked. That is falling apart mush. A proper rib, when you bite into it, should be able to pull away from the bone, but the rest of the meat should stay intact. So let's see. That's what you want it to look like. A bite. Got a little bit more of a roasted flavor than you would with a normal ham, but it definitely tastes like ham. Let's give that sauce a taste. It smells very peppery, very porky. Perfect. Sweet, tangy, a little spice in there. Brown sugar comes through. The molasses really comes through. I think they'd be perfect on our ribs. So you should make these for your Easter dinner. Until next time, I'm Ron the Cook, and happy Easter.